Welcome to our Corporate Suites and Exhibitor Orientation for the 2020 Virtual Experience. We're celebrating the 24th Annual International African American Hotel Ownership and Investment Summit, as well as our 7th Annual International Multicultural and Heritage Tourism Summit. Please welcome our CEO and founder of NABHOOD, Mr. Andy Ingram.
A lot of good stuff that my team, headed by PJ and Shamato, has put together. But also, I think as Rajan said this the other day, we may even do some happy hours, but it's a cash bar only on Zoom. So we'll figure it out. And all the good stuff we have this year, the agenda will be posted. Chris Nassetta is on Tuesday. Tom Baltimore is on Wednesday. Don Peoples is on Friday. We've got a lot of cutting edge issues we're going to talk about. We're excited about some of the new developments. We'll make some great announcements of some great partnerships. As you know, we produced the diversity report card, which is a roadmap to diversity. A lot of the brands have adopted it. We're excited about it. 3 major factors in that. For every executive position that becomes available, we'd like to have an African American interviewed. We'd love to have Chris Nassetta by tying into the performance of the executives and their bonuses with their commitment to diversity. And also making sure we diversify the executive suite. There's been a lot of new promotions. Hilton has added an African American to their board. Starwood Capital has added an African American to their board. And one of our diversity highlights, obviously we're going to talk about the report card, but our diversity panel, which is headed by the Lodging Magazine, is we're going to talk about Black Lives Matter. Those issues that people sometimes feel a little bit edgy about. We're going to see what can we do. This is a great industry. We've got to do a better job, and NABHOOD is happy to lead that effort. So without any further talk, I will turn it over to PJ, who will walk you through today's activity. Thank you, PJ. Take it away. Good job.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am PJ Sands, and I'm one of our coordinators for this wonderful summit. We are coining this the 2002 virtual experience because not only do we celebrate the 24th Annual International African American Hotel Ownership and Investment Summit, but we also customarily, we celebrate our 7th Annual International Multicultural Heritage Tourism Summit as well. So with that, we're really enhancing the experience for both because we have the opportunity to really have the trade show component on Friday, especially be something, and some of the amazing workshops that we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion on Friday that really touch hallmarks to both audiences. So today we're walking you through the exhibitor and corporate showcase experience. Because there are a lot of key components that we want to ensure that you take advantage of. So our conference is going to be scheduled NABHOOD September 14th to 18th, which is around the corner. And the International Multicultural Heritage Tourism Summit is scheduled for September 18th and 19th. So we are powered happily, being powered by Cvent Technology, Zoom Technology, and Florida International University. So we're really taking advantage of some of the great technology that's out there in the space in order to bring an optimal experience, not only for the attendees, but also for you, because without you, there would be no us. And we are really in the market with travel and the pandemic to really encourage folks to get back into traveling and to really boost our economy through hospitality, travel, and tourism. So on your screen at the present time, you will see that ideally when one walks into your corporate suite or exhibitor booth, and we'll be calling it your virtual lobby today, because we feel that that's what it is. Just like if you were to walk into a hotel, you're greeted by the lobby, and that's where your greeter or your host for your virtual lobby will be present. So when you get into your lobby, it is ideal that you'll be greeted by a message such as this, appeared on the screen, and someone should put a message in the chat, your greeter, similar to what appears in the chat now. That gives a good introduction, just as though you would be greeted at the front door. As you walk in, you would be appearing in your virtual lobby, and you have the option to set up 4 private breakout rooms. That way, those are the private rooms where you would take your VIP or your prospective guest into a private space with one of your executives to talk about anything from development to supply chain diversity to just a one-on-one secret chat, private, so that it is away from those who might be coming in and out of your virtual lobby. On your landing page, you would also have the opportunity to have handouts, whether it be PDFs, materials, or even links to take them to your own private showroom where you might have on your website for a virtual tour. Ideally, with the breakout room experience, the guest has the option to know what they're to expect, which they might be able to, if they are moved by the host or the greeter to a breakout room, there might be other people talking in that room, or you have the option to put them to a room that's dedicated one-on-one. So we've given some best practices in this example slide that would be branded for your particular company. All right, so yes, in the room, if the room is at capacity, we may recommend another to hang around here in our virtual lobby until we have space available and you can continue to chat with the greeter. The attendee is not required to have their video or mic on, but we want to encourage a personalized experience. So optimally, your greeter should have their camera on just so they can make the person feel as face-to-face and as comfortable as possible. Our operating hours for the corporate suites will be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern. And our exhibitor showcase will take place on Friday, the 18th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. So you want to ensure that you have at minimum one dedicated greeter who will serve as host, and they will be present to keep your virtual room and your virtual lobby open during those times. We also want to ensure that you have submitted your materials and customize that on your exhibitor page in advance so that people can return to the virtual lobby or go to your exhibitor page on our website or the mobile app in order to download any materials, handouts, or brochures. In the event that you need a contact person or experiencing any issues from here on out or through the convention, the conference, this is the main contact, Shamato Ingram, our Vice President of Operations. He is handling all of the exhibitors and corporate suites along with his team lead, who is Ahmad Williams. You will have his email, as well as his cell number to text. Now, very good question in the chat asks, is there a dial-in number from a phone? I'm on a remote desktop connection. Oh, for this meeting? Shamato, can you take care of that request for Matt? I think he's asking to dial in for this meeting, but not sure.
Okay, I'll take care of it.
Thank you. So any questions thus far on our experience? You can unmute yourself and ask if you have anything before we get into best practices.
Good morning, everybody. This is Eric Jacobs with Marriott International. Just some lessons learned from maybe the AHOA conference. I think one of the things that was suggested by our team, it would have been good. Remember, AHOA had a couple of thousand people supposedly, and there were very limited meetings on call it the virtual trade show. So maybe a recommendation is to promote scheduling time ahead of time, right? Try to really promote the fact that you're going to have these vendors available to them during these times. I know you say it, but it was really missed in AHOA. The conversations that was going on between the brands and the lack of traffic, call it, opportunities to meet with people in the virtual booth as you describe it, I mean, it was really subpar. Now, that's not a knock on AHOA. I think it's new technology. People have to figure out how to do it and how to attend an event like this and what to expect. But you shouldn't have any expectations, at least I don't at the moment, that if they had a couple of thousand attendees and maybe we had a half dozen or maybe a dozen meetings in a 2-day event where we were online for 5 hours a day, it was kind of discouraging. So I just think that, whatever you can do to inform your attendees, if you'll be willing to provide a pre-attendee list. So if there are folks that we want to reach out and try to schedule times, vice versa, versus waiting for them, quote unquote, to walk by, I just think that might be a little more productive for everybody.
Eric, I agree with you. And having had the discussion, as you know, over the last couple of weeks and right after, we tried to look at a lot of the challenges that was experienced at hand from some of the folks like yourself. And I agree with you. We're going to provide advanced lists. We're going to promote and push. We put the time down between 12 and 2 for maximum penetration and opportunities. One of the things I do know, a lot of our members are looking for information, and our team is going to push to know who our exhibitors are, who our vendors are, so that we can give as much publicity to those folks that support us and make this summit possible. So I encourage all of you that have any of those anecdotal notes like Eric to send it to us so we can incorporate it. The only way this is going to work is if we all work together and we all work together.
Right.
I appreciate that, Eric. Thank you very much.
Yep.
And congratulations on all the new promotions and good stuff you're doing at Marriott.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. So I would like to move on to our best practices and some of the options here. All right. So for our corporate suites and exhibitors, as I mentioned, the corporate suites are Tuesday, September 5th through Thursday, September 17th from 12 noon to 2. And the virtual exhibitor showcase is open September 18th from 11 to 4 Eastern. A maximum of 4 breakout rooms are available, and in addition to your virtual lobby, which functions as your primary Zoom meeting room. So just as we are here, your primary meeting ID is your virtual lobby. The host, who is the point person that you have advised, is going to be your contact person who will serve and log in first as the host. That person will then be able to go in and set up the breakout rooms and name them as necessary. Each corporate suite and exhibit booth is assigned that one Zoom meeting ID, and that will appear in the mobile app as well as on the landing page, and as well can be used in any material you might need to get people into your room. So if you're scheduling a meeting with someone, you would want to use that Zoom meeting ID to have them come to that Zoom meeting ID to meet with you throughout the conference. You want to make sure that you staff a minimum of 1 greeter for your virtual lobby as the Zoom administrator during the hours of operation. We want to make sure that you have provided the email address to us and the name of the individual who will be the greeter and main contact serving as your Zoom administrator for your virtual corporate suite or exhibit booth. So we will make sure that you can reach out to us and let us know who that primary person will be, so that we can ensure that they are receiving an invitation. And we want to make sure that everyone who's going to attend, whether it's a booth team member or a company attendee, has registered to attend the conference. All of you should have received our invitations as well, indicating that registration is open and available. You want to log in to complete your exhibitor profile and use that link, which will be emailed to the main contact, because you want to provide your logo, your company description, and your contact information. All of that will appear on your exhibitor profile page. That admin also has the ability to upload any materials and link any relevant websites for those virtual tours that I mentioned. Each team member should also complete an attendee profile with your photo, company name, title, and that type of contact information, because when people are in the app or they are wanting to interact with you, it's always good not just to have an empty circle, but to have a face to put to a name. Each of those, you have the ability to link those people and those company team members in your exhibit profile. All right. So when you're thinking about your speakers or your team members, it is advisable, if you do not already have a Zoom account, to create a free one. The reason you want to do that is because when you log into meetings like this, if you set up your free account and you upload your Zoom profile picture, it will show up when you turn your camera off. So for instance, if I were to turn my camera off while I was speaking, you would see my profile picture. But if you have not set up a free Zoom account, that is the reason why when you go into meetings, you just have a circle when you turn off your camera. So you want to make sure that you do create a free Zoom account just so you have that connectivity. So in the event that you don't feel comfortable or you're not going to be on camera, at least when you turn off your camera and you're speaking to a guest, you have at least your company logo at minimum. So you want to definitely upload that profile photo or company brand logo as you see here in your Zoom settings. You want to make sure that you've signed into Zoom with this account before joining at the time to ensure that your mic is working, your camera is placed, and if you're going to be utilizing any type of virtual background like the one you see here, I'm actually in an African American museum right now, you want to have all of those things in place. You will be able to get your link and be able to access your Zoom meeting ID starting Friday, September 11th through Monday, September 14th, as we go live with our corporate suites on Tuesday, the 15th. So the screenshot you see at the bottom is how it looks when you log into Zoom and where you would place your first and last name or your company name, as well as your Zoom avatar. The avatar is the name for your square logo that you use all over your internet presence, right? So this is kind of a crash course in Zoom for those of you who are not familiar. So you definitely want to familiarize yourself with what they call Zoom's floating meeting controls. That is the bar that you see at the bottom of your screen. That is where, once we've given you access, you will see an icon for breakout rooms, for participants, which is anyone who's coming into your virtual lobby, the chat feature, as everyone can see on their Zoom now, the mute, to be able to turn your video on and off. And there's also an ability to send files to any participant. So if someone asks you for some specific brochure, you can click and actually send the file to them real time. So we definitely want to encourage you to have a minimum of one additional team member assigned to a breakout room so that when you push people from your virtual lobby to meet with that person can be dedicated. You don't want the virtual lobby person to then want to have a private one-on-one because you're not able to then field the traffic. We do want all of your virtual lobbies to be attended during hours of operation. So when it comes to sharing your screen, this is where the challenge often happens. Because when you're sharing your screen, you want to ensure that you have the box checked in the lower left-hand corner that says Share Computer Sound. Oftentimes we've been in Zoom meetings and the person is playing a video and they do not understand how to get the sound to play. The reason they're having challenges with that sound is because before they hit the share button, they did not click that box that says Share Computer Sound, as you see at the bottom of the screen. You then want to select what you're sharing, whether it be your desktop. If you're writing on a whiteboard, Zoom can create a whiteboard for you to scribble notes. If you're using your phone, you can connect it with a cable, or you can connect it wirelessly via AirPlay, depending on your type of device. Also, when sharing your screen, you can select the Advanced tab. And say you want to play background music, but you don't want to clear video, you can select the music or computer sound only. If you're using an Elmo or an external projector, you would use content from a second camera. You can also use a slide as your virtual background if your computer is capable. So say you have a picture of your hotel property you can actually set it using the advanced features as your virtual background while you're talking to your guests. As a best practice, we love to see you showcasing your brand, your property, your destination, or even a custom video. So most of us have used PowerPoint in the past, so I would definitely suggest using PowerPoint, or if you're a Mac user, Keynote, or even Adobe to be able to create that presentation so that you can use that throughout your process. All of these features are available on a laptop or a desktop, which is optimal, because if you're going in to use your iPad, your tablet, or your mobile phone, a lot of these features do not show available in Zoom. So it is a best practice, again, to have that greeter in the virtual lobby using a laptop or a desktop computer to see all the features. So in using the breakout feature, so you do not have to use the breakout. You can have just a virtual lobby, virtual exhibit booth, which is your one primary meeting ID. But should you decide to use a breakout room at your set day and time, you can also let us know, because if you're going to say, okay, everybody at 2 o'clock is going to head to my meeting room for a happy hour, let us know so we can try to get that added to the schedule so that it pops up in the mobile app as a notification and it appears on the day's events. As well, any events that you decide you want to create, we can place them on your exhibitor page in your description so that people know to come to your room. And again, you don't have to use that breakout room for your private conversation or your one-on-one chat. You can host all of your interactions if you'd like in your virtual lobby. But if you prefer to also host one-on-one appointments with the greeter, just let us know or communicate that. Your greeter can communicate that with attendees. So some of you have a greeter who knows the schedule using Outlook, perhaps, of the people who are in your breakout room. So you're going to be scheduling those one-on-one appointments based on that. But if you would like us to provide a link for you with specific times, we can also help you facilitate that so that you have a link that you can place in the chat for people to book an appointment. On the right-hand side of the screen you see here is an illustration of what the breakout rooms look like to the admin. So once you click your breakout rooms, you can name them as you've seen here, as we have in our room right now. We decided to name our 4 rooms Hotel Development, Diversity and Travel, Customer Service, and Supply Chain Opportunities. And also you'll have ability to be able to move people to and from a room. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the breakout rooms before I move you. So for added security, some of you have noticed that when you're the host, there's a security button in the floating meeting panel. If you want to enable your privacy, you can enable the waiting room feature so that much as you experienced if you entered this meeting early, you were actually waiting in a virtual waiting room. And when we started the meeting, we allowed you into the virtual lobby. So this is a feature that is available as a security feature. If guests need to share their screen, you can actually turn this feature on and off. And for added security, it is definitely a best practice that only hosts and co-hosts share their screen, because you don't necessarily want any person just coming into your meeting room and sharing their screen, disrupting what's going on. So also there are some best practices with regard to using the chat. So when you use the chat, in the chat feature, you can change the settings as well. You want to, as a best practice, because confidential information can be shared between the guest and the greeter, you want to make sure you have the host only feature enabled, so that if someone's sending a message to you, they basically are then able to only you see the message. In order to enable that feature, when you go into the chat, you can hit the 3 dots next to the file icon and change the chat options. You also use that file button to send files to the guest upon request. And when a guest enters, it's important to bear in mind anything that was in the chat before they entered the Zoom, they can't see it. They can only see what's in the chat after they enter. So for those who enter the meeting after the start of the meeting, they are not able to see the welcome message that I placed in the chat earlier. So I would have to go into the people who just arrived, and I would have to paste my welcome message every time a new person comes in. So it becomes great for you to keep it on your clipboard or on a Word document nearby that you can just copy and paste a welcome message into the chat as people arrive.
This is the contact information for our office at Horizons. If you have any issues, this is the email address and the phone number you can reach us. You can also reach our Vice President of Operations, Shamato Ingram, at this email address, and you can text him for urgent inquiries during the conference.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Do you have any questions thus far? Feel free to unmute yourself to ask.
This is Eric again from Marriott. First of all, where were you March 1st when we were all trying to figure out how to use Zoom? Yeah, I think you did a wonderful job of showing us some of those features that we've all been looking for. Again, I'll go back to the AHOA experience. I think the vendors that they had, which were limited, 35 or so, had a pretty good idea about how, and we weren't using Zoom. We were using a completely new program that they had introduced to us. But again, I'll go back to, I think part of the miss was with the attendees. I'm not sure they knew how to kind of, go to the virtual experience and navigate through all that. So again, recommend, how do we help to educate your potential and your attendees that are coming, so that we do have the opportunity to engage? Because I even had some that said, Eric, I know you're there, I'm just going to call you. This is too cumbersome for me, right? So just some food for thought, right? Just because it's one thing for us as vendors to be there and be prepared, but if the attendees kind of don't know how to attend a virtual conference and know how to navigate through, I think that was part of the challenge that we experienced a couple weeks ago.
Definitely. Mr. Ingram, do you want to address that statement?
Yes, I think Eric is exactly right. And having, again, had this discussion as we did in preparing for this, understanding some of those limitations, I think we've got to make sure that both the vendors as well as the attendees, I've gone to a number of these conferences, and Eric is so right about this. You look at this, what is this stuff? You just can't figure it out. So I think for our team, PJ, we've got to make sure not only it's user-friendly, but we have a really seamless program to make sure folks can find. That's why when we talked about, and I'm sure you're not going to deal with it now, when we talked about that virtual happy hour, if I want to meet Eric and Eric is over there, I want to make sure John Smith can say, I want to go in that room where Eric is. I want to go in that room where Sarah is. I want to go in that room where Rajan. So I think we need to take all the feedback that we're getting, go back and hopefully come up with the right solution so we can create that best practices that you're seeing today. So thank you, Eric.
You bet. Again, I think it's all new for everyone. And if we're going to do this for another year or so, who knows? But it's a challenge. That's why we all would rather just get together and have a real cocktail.
I agree. Ed, I was talking with Sergeant Khan last week or 2 weeks ago at Curve Hospitality, and he expressed the same frustration. And I had my team get on the phone with him, as we got on the phone with many other folks like Hilton and so forth, and Rajan at HD Supply, and we said, tell us what those problems are. And I remember some of the frustration just listening to Sergeant Khan, who has been one of our great supporters, and saying, this is just so difficult. I've got 10 people sitting here. I don't know how to address it. And I remember saying to PJ and Shamato, hey guys, we've got to do something about this. And so this is what we came up with. So Sergeant Khan, I know you're on the phone, on the web. Thank you very much for being, giving us that information, allowing us to do a better job as PJs. I said us, PJ and Mato. I'm just the observer looking in.
No, definitely. It took us a lot to set that up. AHOA didn't have a lot of answers for us when we were setting it up. It took me and my colleague 5 to 7 days of straight 8 hours just to set up our booth. And then at the end of the day, what had happened is anyone who had any questions regarding setup, they were referring Curve Hospitality as, hey, follow what they did versus everyone else to how to set it up. So I don't think they even knew how to set up. So the training purposes does work very well.
Sergeant Khan, who's that good-looking guy in front of you? I mean, we see him all the time when he shows up. What's going on?
Well, tell me, man. I'm listening to you right now.
Well, listen, what I like what you're doing is showing a model room. I think for a lot of people, it's almost seamless to be able to see that model room where folks can say, I like this, have some questions. So great job, and thank you for your support.
Good. Thank you. No, I think what you have done here, what I can see, if it is executed correctly, I mean, all the mistakes we saw in the previous ones, I think you've corrected all of them as what I can see so far.
Thank you very much. It's a learning curve for all of us. And I think from a best practice standpoint, we can learn, I'm sure, as we go through this, there'll be some new stuff that will come out.
Yeah, but I think that the training for the attendees is very important because we were having the same issue. The attendees would come in and could not even talk to us. We were just losing them. And we definitely need the database so we can at least solicit them ahead of time so they have all our information before we even talk to them on the screens.
Perfect. I also like that technology where they can text, they can call, to make it as easy as possible where, listen, business is hard enough. We don't need an additional issue to continue conducting in this strange environment. So I like the ideas. Thank you. Go ahead.
All right, and I wanted to have us experience the move over to a breakout room just so you could understand what is on the screen. So at the time, I'm Shamato. Ingram is going to stay in the virtual lobby, and we are all going to move to breakout room for hotel development. So let me know what your experience looks like on your end. You should have a pop-up on your screen that asks you whether you would like to move to the breakout room. If you do not hit join, you will stay in the virtual lobby. So please hit join on your screen if you'd like to move over.
If everyone's on the home screen, they should be right back in a second. Like I said, just want to give you guys an idea on what it looks like when you switch to different breakout rooms. They'll be switching back over to this screen any moment now.
So now all 29 of us should be back on into the virtual lobby. So basically when it comes to, I must say I've been using Zoom for, this is this fourth year I've been using Zoom for my meetings, webinars, and experiences. And I feel like from a technology standpoint, it really makes it a little easier with the prompts, depending on if you're on a mobile device or if you're on your computer. There are some key differences, but I would definitely like some feedback with regard to the move. Did anybody find it challenging, or was there any feedback about what was experienced on the screen?
No, I thought that this is Eric again. The move was great. One quick question. This is just a novice user of the breakouts. As much as we'd like to know, just like in any other, even a human interaction event, people are in other conversations like, oh, gee whiz, I got to run. The breakout has started. Now, if we're presenting, how does somebody get in the room, right? Are you constantly going to be interrupted that, oh, somebody else wants to join. Oh, somebody else wants to join. How do you control that? Or how do you let people in the middle of your presentation? Or does the door shut and once your presentation begins, they can't join? I'm not sure about it. It's really a question.
So you do have the capability to lock your meeting room just like you would lock the door. I can go back and share that slide again, but it's also in your PDF guide, where if you're in the middle of a presentation and you are in a breakout room presenting, as soon as that person comes in, you can lock the door. So that no one else can be put into your breakout room by your greeter who's in the virtual lobby. So say the greeter then says, okay, I want to put you in to talk to Eric in hotel development. she will see or he will see that that room is unavailable for access and be able to communicate, okay, the door's locked, they must still be in a meeting. Can you schedule a one-on-one appointment with me? Or, you know, is there someone else that I have in another breakout room that could potentially assist you? So I think that's the key, right? And when the presentation is over, you who's in your breakout room can then have the guest manually leave by clicking a button. The leave icon that is in Zoom will allow them to either leave the breakout room and go back into the virtual lobby, or they can leave your Zoom meeting ID completely. So from that perspective, just like any meeting with Zoom, which is a great capability. So if we didn't want to admit anybody else, we could have locked this meeting and no one could get in after 10 minutes after. So that is a great security feature that is great to use not only in the context of this, but if you are having a private meeting discussing confidential information and they have other people from their team who might have the Zoom meeting ID, it is a best practice to lock the room while you're discussing those details.
But if
Great
we
question.
said, hey, we're going to do a 20-minute presentation on Marriott culture, and you want to leave the door open for anybody who might want to come between 10 and 12, right? To engage in on that, how every time somebody wants to come in, you'll have to let them in. Is that correct?
No.
No.
So if you're doing a presentation from 10, say you decide you're doing a Marriott presentation at 11, everyone who is
Yep.
coming, they're coming into your virtual lobby, but you should optimally do your presentation in the breakout room. You wouldn't do necessarily the presentation in your lobby. So the
No,
greeter
that's my
would still
point.
be able,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's my point. So if it's scheduled from 10 to 10:30, let's say, and it's, you know, and it's going to be 30 minutes and somebody shows up 5 or 10 minutes late, how do they get into the room? Does the presenter have to stop what he's doing or she's doing and let them in every time somebody shows up late?
No. Oh, that's a great question. So no, the greeter who has admin access can put them straight into your meeting room without disturbing the presenter. They can
Perfect.
put them into your
Awesome.
breakout room. So like in
Great.
this
Thank you.
feature, in this meeting, for those of you who joined at the beginning of the meeting, we had the meeting locked and we had a waiting room feature enabled. So no one could get into the room until the host presses the button. But once the meeting began, we turned that feature off. We turned off the waiting room. So anyone who joined the meeting late, they just got in and it didn't disturb me or anyone who's presenting. So that's what that waiting room feature does. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions? I saw a message in the chat from Mauricio Patino asking if one-on-one appointments are not pre-scheduled. That is basically an option. We can find out from Mr. Ingram at what point we're going to be releasing information for you to pre-schedule appointments.
Yes, the agenda will be available next week. I believe it's on Monday or Tuesday. It'll be posted over the weekend. The attendee list will continue to be sent to folks. Any requests we get for meetings will be sent to those individuals. I know that we're working on one of the happy hours with Mauritius from the US Virgin Islands. And I know we're working on one of the happy hours where they want to host something, and attendees will be given that information in advance so that they can schedule time to do that. So the idea is to make sure that we filter and give the attendee as well as the sponsors and exhibitors as much leeway to schedule those one-on-one appointments or those group presentations as Eric just talked about. We know that a lot of us have asked the same information. If they have a presentation, will that something that we can promote? Absolutely. You send it to us, we'll send it out to our database. It'll go to those folks that are hoping to register and haven't registered yet. They will get the same information. And maybe to some degree, that's a selling tool, will allow people to know, gee, Marriott is going to be doing something there. Hilton is going to be doing something. IHG is going to be doing something there. And I want to get into that. And we send that to our database of those that are still waiting to register, as well as those that are registered. So we're going to push that information out consistently. Thank you.
PJ,
Hi, Jerry. How are you?
I am doing very well. Thank you so much. I think this is a great idea from Andy and you, and I learned a lot. Just 3 points. First, I joined the call late because I don't know, it kept asking me for a password. And so in the event there's a problem where we don't have a password to get in, can you tell us maybe what we might have to do in order to resolve that? And then secondly, I hope we'll have access like to someplace where we could see the recording, because I missed a lot of the good stuff you were doing in the beginning. So let us know where we can see a recording, go back over it, and we can also reach you if we have like direct questions. And then lastly, because I use a work computer, it's not allowing me to access Zoom. My IT department is somehow saying that Zoom is not on their approved software list, and they suggest that I must ask the counterparty to use WebEx, which is on their approved, because they say WebEx is secure. I'm sure it's all just marketing, but if I can't use Zoom to get in, and I'm a presenter or a participant, can you tell me what alternative I could use to still get the full experience of the conference? So those were my 3 points, please.
Okay. First point, thank you. Second point, we will definitely be sending a recording along with the exhibitor guide to those who have raised their hand to say that they would be hosting corporate suite or exhibitor. So we want to make sure, please contact us and let us know if you have not already registered to provide that information. Thirdly, yes, for those who do have IT issues, and Zoom is definitely going to be our provider. WebEx actually does not provide a lot of the great features that I've showcased today. I've tried everything basically with regard to GoToMeeting, WebEx, Join Me, all of the different platforms, trust and believe. And it is, the Zoom experience is definitely much easier for the attendee as well as the exhibitor. So my advice, if your work computer is not able, is to join by an iPad or a tablet. So that way it is full screen and you are able to definitely take advantage of it. It should have a really great camera. So in your case, or in the event you are a panelist and you want to interact, even if you're an attendee and you want to interact face to face, I definitely suggest an iPad or a tablet as opposed to trying to do it on your phone. If you're gonna do it on your phone, you know, to watch a conference for 4 days on your phone is no fun. So, you know, at this point, I feel like most people have to borrow a tablet from their daughter, son, or granddaughter, or grandson, for those who don't necessarily have one for these purposes. But get them to expense it, Jerry.
Yeah,
so thank you. That is a very good point.
I wasn't going to raise it on here, but Marriott does not allow, I mean, we're not supposed to be using Zoom either. It's not an approved technology because of the safety and the security issues. And so we actually have a corporate mandate not to use Zoom, just so you know. So I'm going to have to ask for permission, I believe, in order to be able to do this. But it is something that I was thinking about. I didn't raise it, wasn't going to raise it, but it sounds like I'm not the only one who might have this issue in terms of Zoom being a real secure program, at least to the big corporate companies.
Hey, Eric, let me respond to that. So we have a combination of CVent and Zoom technology being used. So there is some issues that we know that Zoom has. And so by integrating it with our program at CVent, we're able to get around and hopefully get rid of a lot of those security issues. We anticipated that when we looked at the technology to try to come up with a seamless program that can register, do the conference, because we have this big panel with Hilton CEO and
Right.
Raul and a bunch of other folks. So having researched all of the issues mentioned, we understood the secure issue, which is why we integrated it with CVent to give us that comfort level that indeed we will not have no problem. So, but I welcome to take a look at it, and if there's an issue, we can go back to our provider on the CVent side to see if that's something in place, and then keep it moving.
Yeah, I mean, again,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
No, I was
Tony?
just going to say, again, it's not whether I like Zoom and I think the technology is great, but that corporate mandate just came out about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So we have access to Microsoft Teams as a company, and that's the one that we utilize, particularly from a safety and internal meeting security, things like that. And anyways, we'll work through the issue. Again, but I just letting you know that the gentleman that spoke was not the only one who has that issue.
Yeah, and this is Tony Colson from Hilton. I wanted to tell you that I did confirm with Chris's team that he would be able to join on the Zoom platform, and he is, and he will. So I don't want you to have any additional concern over that. But just as in camaraderie with my colleagues here, the Zoom platform is not a preferred Hilton platform. Although I'm with Eric, I love the capabilities and the functionality, and do think that you guys have really, in comparison to AHOA, have really set us up for success with the platform. But there is that, it's not one of the preferred. So I'll share that piece as well.
Tony, good point. I know that our team also looked at the possibility of bringing our system to your front door, your lobby, and then having your system take the rest, providing you had all the functionality. What we discovered, a lot of people didn't have the sort of functionality that allows you to motivate to move back and forward. So that's one of the things that we think it's well. But you're right, Tony. I think I hope that whatever is creating an issue with Zoom, I hope they get it all squared away. But this technology is so new that I was talking to Neil Freeman in Chicago, and he wanted to come down to Miami except to find a place that was in a hot spot during the summit. And I said, it's all hot. So this is a new technology we've got to get used to and figure out how to make sure it's secured. So thank you for that comment, both Tony and Eric.
Yeah,
Definitely. And I wanted to add, of course, I'm no cybersecurity expert. However, one of the things that people love about your WebEx, your Microsoft Teams, is when it comes to internal communication, it does definitely provides that encryption. But when we're talking about end-to-end user with people who are outside of your organization, and especially as we are targeting communities that are a lot of independent businesses, we're targeting a lot of people who are providers of boutique properties who want to invest and who are new to this, we definitely wanted to create a platform that was easily user-friendly in order to usher that travel to our doorsteps, and also to be able to be a great equalizer. Because if you have a small company that wants to exhibit and really showcase their wares to get this wonderful education and opportunity in hotel ownership and investment, we did not want them to be prohibited and prevented from that experience. So thank you so much for that. And we'll definitely continue to keep you abreast with what Zoom has to say as well with regard to those enhanced securities for this.
PJ, that's a good point. And one of the meetings we did, I believe on Monday, with about 3 Fortune 500 companies that came to us about wanting to book African-American owned hotels and spend their minority dollars with hotels once they identified. You know, what I said to them, I said, we're going to be the vehicle. So if John Smith is looking for a African-American owned hotel in Louisville, Kentucky, and they find that hotel, and I said to the folks on the call, I said, once you click that on our website, that click-through takes you directly to the brand booking engine backend where they can book 1,000 rooms and or one room. And I remember when we talked about this, PJ, I got a call this morning, and And they said, we like that because now it gives people the security. So what Eric is saying is exactly right. We need to figure out what it is that we're doing, but we also understand that we've got small independent business people, like PJ said, particularly a lot of small vendors and growing vendors that want to do business with the industry. And to them, what is so important, something that's simplistic, able, because if Gerald White or has a product he wants to sell to Hilton or Eric, or wants to talk with Marriott new president, Ray Bennett of Franchising North America, they want to figure out how to get to that individual seamlessly. And I believe through our networking process that the team is working on, we're going to come back with something that's so cool that if the Minister of Tourism of Anguilla is at the summit, which he will, and somebody has a project they want to put in Anguilla, they can, through our technology, be able to connect with them almost automatically with a couple of clicks. So I think the key is not reducing the impact of security, but to make it as easy as possible to move from one point to the other. Thank you.
Thank you. So for those of you, there was a mention in here that they had not received their registration link yet. No, we haven't sent out the registration links for the exhibitor profile as yet, because we wanted to make sure we had this conversation with you today. And thank you so much for your time in joining us. You want to ensure that you are registered for the conference in order to be able to facilitate that link. So if you have not received your begun that process, please feel free to contact our office to ensure that you can get your information sorted out to register. And then we will be sending out the links for you. And our deadline, once we send out the links, or if you want to, first of all, let's rewind. How can we send you a link if you haven't told us who your key point person is? So for some of you, we do know who the key point person is, but for some of you, we have no idea. That's why we invited you here today. So we definitely want to make sure we figure out who that is from your company, which we can't do until you register. And then with regard to that, after you're registered and we know who your point person is, we'll send you the link and you'll be able to start logging in as of Friday, September 11th, to be able to start practicing, playing with customization. And you can also do that on Monday before we start as well, the corporate suites and exhibitors at the end of the week. We've also changed a little bit of the format, and you will be pleasantly surprised. On Monday, we're starting our conference with the ABCs of hotel ownership. And that day is really our opening for hotel orientation and for new owners. Mr. Ingram, please share about that.
No, I just want to add, all the sponsors are getting their login and registration information today. So we know who our sponsors are. That is all going in the package at Model. That's all I wanted to say. And
let me add something else to that too, real quick. For all the exhibitors, all the people that want to exhibit, as well as the different sponsors that have corporate suites. If you can, guys, listen, we're going to go those packages out for the sponsors today. But if you can email us, anyone that's exhibiting that hasn't registered yet, and the same goes for the corporate suites. If you can email us the contact person, just send us an email with their first and last name, and that way we can get them their registration information. So all I need is their email and their first and last name, and then we can get them registered for their booths or in corporate suites.
And PJ and team, does that include our panelists? Do they need to register as well to get their link for the panels? Okay.
Yes, they do.
Okay, thank you.
Because optimally, the way we're working with Cvent is it's ideal for you to register and customize that profile as much as possible, because as this is a virtual experience, people want to see the faces. It's a real great opportunity to upload that photo, that corporate logo, and really increase your brand's visibility. So the sooner you get that up and it's up in the app and up on the site, the better your brand will benefit from it.
Awesome, thank you.
So our itinerary starts on Friday the 14th with our new owner orientation, prospective owners, and our ABCs. And then on Tuesday, we kick off with our programming with some really great sessions that are really poignant and really important and really relevant and timely for the industry. So if you don't have any more questions, or do we have any more questions? Go ahead, Mr. Seneca.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that new owners orientation program is so critical. It's our ABCs of hotel ownership. We've had a deluge of emails and calls of people that want information. And so that is from 2 to 4, I believe it is. And we kind of give people a snapshot, as we've done at the normal conference, of what to expect during the 3 days that they're there. But then we go into Monday. So we have some cool stuff. For example, everybody's heard about, well, everybody knows how tough the industry is. And so we're talking to folks about how to still find money, what's going on with the virus, how are you traveling? The highlight of that day on Tuesday is Chris Nassetta speaking, and then a chat with Raul Thomas, the Gabriel Hotel, last year's winner, and myself. We're going to ask him a couple of questions about what he's doing, how he's handling how he's handling diversity, what's his vision. You know, I say this when we started talking about diversity. Folks like Chris, as the CEO, I believe diversity starts from top down, and he's been one of those leaders that have been accessible and to say we want to do better. And I like that. And of course, we go to Wednesday. We have a fireside chat again with Tom Baltimore to talk about what some of the companies are doing, how we're building capacity, how we're looking at this new normal called diversity rich inclusion. We're working with a number of REITs to increase African-American spend with them. And then on Thursday, our highlight again is Don Peoples, talking about a fund that he wants to put together to raise money. What is his company doing with this new normal? How they're impacting diversity. And I know that when we talk with people like RLJ or Pyramid or some of our owners, we're all committed, we're all in the same space, and we're all working to make the industry a better business model for improved diversity and obviously increased productivity. And our student program, every day at 3:30 in the afternoon, we have a specific student program. We have an HR panel where we've asked a number of our industry partners to spend an hour talking to these young people, because Warren Field said this on one of the calls when we were working on the white paper on a roadmap to diversity. We've got to build a pipeline of new diverse talent. So these young people that are looking, who are going through the education process, we have 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We have these huge panels that will be good for them. Those students will also be attending the summit as they normally do. And then of course, Friday is our exhibit. So for those of you that have any ideas, I encourage you to send it to sgleeman@gate.net. Our awards program, which we have on Tuesday, we have 3 great awardees. The highlight of one of our program is a message from Hank Thomas. Many of you have seen Hank Thomas at our event. Hank Thomas is one of only 2 living legends, freedom riders that Oprah has highlighted, everybody's highlighted. He's owned a number of hotels. He's getting up in age. He's retiring. He has 1 more hotel to sell. And we've asked him, and I asked him personally, Hank, tell me what motivates you and what is courage? And how at 18 years old you decided to hop on a bus and go ride the South to ensure that I and my team can sit here today. And we're grateful for that. And we wanted to hear from him, because for us, building a new generation of leaders and our students, Mitch Miller, that heads our student fundraising and scholarship program, has a neat program that he's bringing on virtually to raise money for scholarships. We also have this huge program with HBCU schools. And I know that one of our major sponsors, which is FIU, who has had a great program to bring more minorities into the business. This summit is not only to create a pipeline, but when I talked to Warren Thompson this morning from Thompson Hospitality, imagine having an African-American owned food service company inside. Eric, thank you very much. One of your hotels, which is the Residence Inn and Courtyard, right behind the Big Box Marriott, we've made a commitment to go and pitch more of those types of partnerships. Eric, as you know, I'm not going to announce it, but there's a second hotel being considered where an African-American food service company will have a restaurant in that that's being branded based on the history of that community. And so those are the sort of stuff that we want to make people proud of. And more importantly, this summit, the only one of its kind, is designed to bring more African Americans, more ethnic minorities into the business. Our brothers at AHOA has done a great job. We follow their footsteps. Their president will be here to bring greetings. And we have a number of AHOA members that are our members that are taking part. So I just wanted to kind of give people a snapshot so when they look at the agenda, they don't say, wow, how did you pull that off with these tough times? But with great partners like you, we were able to do that. Thanks again. I promise you I have nothing else to say. Thank you, PJ.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Go ahead, PJ.
No, that's all for me. Shimano, any special closing announcements or anything, deadlines that anyone needs to know before we?
No, I think that's it. We kind of covered everything, but like I said, I just want everyone to try and get us information as soon as possible. That way we don't have to scramble at the last minute. I know that there'll be changes. There'll be different things that come up, you know, as the conference goes and we get closer to the conference date. But if you can guys just start getting us information as soon as possible, that way we can get everyone registered. You can get your booth set up, your suite set up, and you can always input your information later. You can assign your team members later. We just want to get the process started.
Awesome. Well, thank you for everyone here at NABHOOD and Multicultural Tourism Heritage Network. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions, you know where to find us, and you can send major inquiries to sgleeman@gate.net. And we look forward to working with you over the next few weeks to pull off this extraordinary virtual experience. It is the new normal. So definitely have a wonderful weekend and stay safe for Labor Day.